Big thanks for joining me on TMI as we look at 2023 poll and national unity, the power shift debate. And joining me in this sensitive topic, starting from my extreme left, I have a Malam, a Muslim cleric, Malam Nuruddin Asunogie. Thanks for joining me, Malam.
Thank you for having me. Good morning, viewers.
And next to him is a lecturer, University of Benin, of the Political Science Department, and he is Neville Obakedo. Thanks for joining me, Neville.
Thank you for having me this morning. Good morning, viewers at home.
Well, the disparate positions adopted by the 17 Southern governors and that of the 19 states, northern states counterparts have been really keeping issues concerning the polarization of the country, which seem to be making it worse. And you agree with me that even in the Sabah declaration, they unanimously took the lead that they need to stop issues about that is against national unity in security. And even in July 5th in Lagos House Ikeja, they also held a meeting. The Southern governors also came up with this aspect of power shift, that the essence of power shift will bring about national coexistence, national unity, will bring about national harmony. Now, what are your thoughts in this direction, Asunogie?
Well, thank you. The fact of the matter is that we have, over the years, suffered a deficit in leadership. On account of this deficit, those who preside over our affair, that we suffer the misfortune to have them to superintend over our affair, in order to paper over this destitution, have always regaled on issues that would tend to accentuate the discombobulation on the part of the citizenry, who probably lack the insight, the understanding to appreciate the things that are going on. Now, if a society becomes united, it's a function of the quality of the leadership. If again it is disunited, it's a function of the leadership. Naturally, where you have problem with leadership, you have issues of this kind. But like I said, all of those who say, let there be a shift, what is the understanding? What is the motive? What is the intention that drives this clamor for a shift? For 30 solid years, 3 decades, there was a man by name Lee Kuan Yew who built the Singapore society, a society that could be taken as a steel bet as at the time it got its independence. Lee Kuan Yew built that society. As we speak today, his own son presides over the affair. It is a multicultural, multi-ethnic society. But nobody was talking about where X or Y, Z comes from, because they dealt with a leadership that was truthful, a leadership that had inoculated itself against that which is licorice, a leadership that believed in society, a leadership that had demonstrated competence in welding the different units of society in a way and manner that tended to promote confidence, in a way and manner that tended to promote trust, a leadership that was robustly, was robustly rich in integrity and stuff like that. So once you find that missing, we obviously have a problem. The governors who have met to say there would be a shift, there will be whatever X, reduce the activities of these persons to their different states. A number of them can't pay salaries. A number of them do not believe in what they are promoting. So you see, when we talk about this, everybody is simply saying, like he said in local parlance from the village I come from, if you do not drag for the leg of the animal, you are not likely to get the hand. And so it is all about themselves making an arrangement as the belief. So the power that had side in the north for the past 8 years, of what utilitarian value is it to the northern man? Today you hardly will say you have a northern state that knows what is called peace. And this is the fundamental requirement of governance, the fundamental requirement of leadership. You can't, for example, the sitting president today is from Katsina. You cannot honestly move from point A in Katsina State to point B and be hopeful that something would not happen. People don't go to sleep now. It is ululation everywhere. Go to the Far East, whether it's in Boronu. When the southern man was presiding, it was said that it was a plot to decimate the North. Some other person had been there from the North, whose mother is even believed to be a Kanuri for the past 6 years. What has changed, if any change, it is that the crisis had deepened. The ululation of the people had deepened. So for me, what we should be talking about, rather than these confusing things that get issues all the more convoluted, is to say, how do we talk about a leadership that will be like Jomo Kenyatta, the leadership that will be like Nyerere of Uganda, that will be like the leadership we have found in Singapore, that type of leadership we have found in places like Malaysia. These were countries that were at the same level. The leadership, the type you will find, we were at the same level with China. The China today that we have become a financial slave to. In the 60s, we were at the same level with China. And so, what is the miracle? It was about basically the issue of leadership. And so, once you find that leadership has failed, tyranny is let loose, because the leadership will, of course, require, a failed leadership will require the bifurcation of society for him to continually succeed and hold sway over the people.
Okay, thank you. Asunoge really suggests that he's not in support of what the 17 Southern governors are talking about in the conversation of ceding the presidency to the southern part of the country. But you agree with me that even in 2006, the Northern Governors Forum, or Nigeria Governors Forum, did say that, well, it's not, Northern Governors particularly, did say that it's not against equity, at least it's for fairness, if power should be ceded to the North. But again, some argue that this time around their opinion seems different, or is it because they have that aspect of leadership in the North? And some again also say that there is a cabal that seems to corner the Commonwealth of the country, you know, to a particular region. This could be the reasons why the Southern governors are really agitating for this. What do you think, Neville?
Well, in the first instance, when you have a country like Nigeria, a heterogeneous country, and we say we are practicing democracy. One, democracy is a game of number. Number two, democracy is having some elements such as negotiation, compromise, conflict and conflict resolution, and so on. And so when you have a country like Nigeria that is divided into North and South, and over the years there have been this North and South dialogue, dichotomy, you know,
bringing polarization
yes,
to the country.
Trying to say that it is the turn of the North to rule or the turn of the South to rule, and so on. The problem that we are having right now is a problem of the crafters of the Constitution. Because when they know that the North is always trying to dominate the politics of this country, and Abacha tried to find solution by making sure that the country was divided to 6 geopolitical zones, they would have also inserted in the Constitution that power shall be rotated among these geopolitical zones. For example, if one geopolitical zone produces the president in a dispensation, as we have Buhari now, then the next, in the next election or the next dispensation, power should go to the south, to another geopolitical zone. By that arrangement, the crisis that we are having now will not have it. Because, number one, the Nigerian state, from creation to date, there has not been a deliberate effort at building the nation. Because when my brother was talking about Malaysia just now, talking about Singapore just now, I was just trying to remind myself of what I know about those countries. That the leaders who presided over the affairs of this country, he also mentioned Nyerere of Tanzania, and so on. You discover that these leaders, they knew what leadership entailed. They knew that the people are the center of leadership. And they put a strong, let me use the word, egalitarian foundation for a takeoff of their country by building the nation. Trying to make sure that the things that divide the nation are relegated to the background. And what unite the nation, irrespective of the tribe that you are from, were brought to the fore for people to now harness and be united. And so, when you hear of Southeast Asia tiger in those days, Singapore, Korea, Taiwan, Malaysia, and so on, you go and check their leadership, you will see the way and manner they try to unite the nation by a systematic way of building the country. Now, this is missing in Nigeria. And so, because the constitution says that every 4 years there shall be a general election where governors and president and the National Assembly will be elected and so on. Even though in some states now that has been altered because of manipulation of the electoral process. And so you will normally, in a democratic setting of this nature, where there's no foundational base for the country to be united, you will normally find things of this nature. People saying power must come to South now. Okay. When the Southerner is leaving the office, or is about to leave the office, when his tenure is coming to an end, the Northerner will say power will come to the North, and so on and so forth. Now, the question is, before we talk of 2023, which we have not even reached, by the grace of God we will reach there, the issues of governance that the 2023 the president will be elected president by that time, will be looking at. The issues are here right now. The issue of welfare. We have a president, and as I said, sometimes when we talk about Nigeria, I feel like shedding tears in the public. A president, a retired army general, a retired former head of state, let me put it that way, is the president and commander-in-chief in his own state. In his own state, you cannot move freely. The man will even be in the state as president, and they will be kidnapping here and there.
Okay, but in the
that raises question about whether the kidnapping that we are even hearing, whether they are not arranged or not. But that is not the issue. The issue is that all parts of the country, all the states of Nigeria, they have had one problem of insecurity and another. And all these governors, whether Northern governors, 19 of them, whether Southern governors, 70 of them, they know all these issues that are happening in their state.
Okay, in summary of what you just said,
yes,
in summary of what you said, you were talking about the need for the constitution to provide that aspect where there shall be a rotational presidency.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong.
Across the geopolitical zones.
Nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong with that.
Okay, now we're going to be looking at that as we look at these issues concerning the 2020 poll and national unity, how it affects it. But we'll take a short break. Do stay tuned. Issues of the 2020 poll and national unity, the power shift debate is a cross of today's discussion, and I've been having a chat with Neville Obakedo, a lecturer at University of Benin, and of course also with a Muslim cleric, Malam Nuruddin Asunogie. And in the course of the break, we had the opportunity to be joined by a human rights activist who basically came late as a result of the traffic congestion between the axis of Benin Technical Junction and Worcester Junction, precisely around St. Patrick Catholic Church, where there is the presence of a body. We don't know if the body is lifeless, that's on the road, lying there. And so this should be a call to action for the government to draft officials in order to clear that body away so that we can have free flow of traffic. Well, good to have you join us, Solomon Ijobe.
Thank you so much. Good morning. Andreas, good morning this morning.
All right, discussing the issues about 2020 polls and national unity. You agree with me, we have been having these issues where the Nigeria Governors Forum then got polarized even before 2015 elections. And then we start having two factions where we have the Southern Governors Forum and then the Northern Governors Forum. And the agitations by these different forums seem to be worsening the polarization of the country. What do you make of this as it relates to the zoning of the presidency?
Well, I think that the problem of the Nigerian state today is the government. And if you ask me to narrow it down and say the governors, they are the one creating these unnecessary agitations. And you and cry. Of course, we understand that there should be an understanding. Because if the Nigerian system talks about
the power shift, you mean?
No, not just power shift.
Okay.
They are talking about creating a balance in character formation, what they call the federal character arrangements.
Okay.
If you can do that in appointments, in public offices, I do not see a reason why you cannot apply sin to issue of leadership.
In terms of rotational presidency?
Of course, because whether we like it or not, the country is naturally divided into the north and the south. Whether I call it northwest, northeast, north central, or you call it south, south, southeast, or southwest, the divide is the north and the south. But again, who are the major problems in this whole power shift, power tussle, power rotational and non-rotational issues? They are the governments. Today they are speaking with one breath on an issue. Tomorrow they are on the other one. So for me, whether you call it party A, party B issue, I think the major issue here is the greed, inordinate ambitions of governors, of whether you call it the northern or the southern states. Because if you ask me, the major problem we are facing today is not actually the issue of the power shift or power rotation, it's the issue of the polity. Democratic governments that understand the needs of the people. A government that is responsive and responsible. But what we had in recent times is irresponsive government and irresponsible government. Government that does not care whether the people live or have needs. It is only the issue that actually concerns them, where they, in quotes, get their largesse or gets something beneficial to them that they talk about. Look, hunger has killed more people than COVID-19 in Nigeria. You and I know. Banditry, kidnapping has, in fact, has killed much more people than COVID-19 in Nigeria. But you hear all of them go around talking about COVID-19 issues. Even when the palliatives come, what happened? Governors ordered them. But when vaccines are now here, I have a right to life. Malam Nuruddin Asunode knows that I can tell you constitutionally that I have a right to life. You didn't bother about me when you were talking about palliative, but you're talking about compulsory vaccination, for instance. When it comes about vaccination, why not leave me to my fate the way you left me to my fate when you were doing palliative? So the issues basically are the issues of the governors. They are unable to reconcile their differences. They are the ones hitting up the politics. What has actually divided the Nigerian state today is not even hunger. It's this issue of religion and political affiliations. Look at just the southern governors yesterday meeting. Because one of the governors, Ben Ayade, to be precise, because there's no need hiding. Because he has shifted from a political party to another, and majority of the other governors, they were from one group of a political party, he decided not to attend. But the issues to be discussed there were issues bordering on the southern region. You understand? That is not to even say that a whole lot of them there, have a buy-in. But the issue is, sometimes let it be seen that you are carrying the issue, the cross of the people.
All right. We can't really take away all of these issues of insecurity, as you know, the issues of insecurity, hunger, poverty, unemployment, youth restiveness away, because you may mention recently that the aspect of leadership, ensuring that we have the right leadership, ensuring that the leadership is focused in betting the good dividends of good governance. The impression you seem to generate in the course of your presentation not quite long. Does it not also show, like some also say, that the present administration of President Muhammadu Buhari seem to be under a cabal, as some say, and the cabal seem to be cornering the commonwealth of the country into a certain region, as some say, and again, still along ethnic and religious lines? Do you agree?
Well, you see, when you have a quarrel with me, the first casualty will be truth. If you say, hey, Nuruddin looks light complexion, what would that elicit? I'll just smile. But you just tell the whole world he's darker than coal. And so that probably will get me angry. You see, when you deal with people who are parsimonious with the truth, we have a problem. The governor of Rivers State says there must be power shift. What was his quarrel with Amechi? Amechi says we are both Ikwere, so let it shift to the Jaws. He said over his dead body. So what he does not believe at the state level, he believes in that at the national level. When you say the resources have been cornered, we have seen unfairness on the part of those who have exercised leadership before Buhari, and unfortunately, Buhari came and perpetuated. A number of us who stood for Buhari, like I tell anybody who cares to listen, I ate food on the same table with Jonathan. He gave me money. I have never, except once or twice, had whatever with Buhari. When I say eat food with Jonathan, only 6, 7 of us on the table. He stands up from that dining, he climbs the staircase straight. The dining is under his room where he sleeps. He climbs the staircase, he goes up. But we're looking for a leader who will find the impervidity to say no to certain persons. And so we thought Buhari could do that. All of the agitations and stuff like that you get from people, they are a flow. But again, we have seen people that across the divide, when people talk, they talk about what benefits them. Take the 93-year-old man who had lampooned Buhari, Abraham, who said the constitution was crude to benefit the North. He didn't see that constitution, the first 8 years of Obasanjo, as benefiting the North. The 6 years of Obasanjo, the same constitution was not made to benefit the North. But it is in Buhari's time that it will benefit the North. So you find that you deal with people, regardless of what their age is, they are economical with truth. And so that's where we are. If you dealt with the average Muslim in the North, especially those who occupy positions of authority, I'll tell you, they would have wished that Jonathan returns. Not because Jonathan was helping in the development of the state, but because Jonathan represented a monumental personal economic benefit to them. And so this is the challenge we have. If Buhari, for example, had been cosmopolitan in appointment, when you say religion, we ask, whose religion? You no longer practice religion when you become untruthful. Any religion that you say you profess that does not teach you justice, that does not teach you equity. I'm a Muslim, for example. And so my religion tells me that my neighbor, regardless of what he professes, if I cook food in my house and I'm not going to share with him, let him not smell the aroma. That if I'm entering into my apartment, and that if I'm building a house, I must not build it in a way that obscure the vision and the breeze that will get into the house of my neighbor. I must not have a generator in my house, and the only benefit my neighbor derives from that generator is the noise and the smoke. He must share with me. I must not have borehole, for example, and my neighbor comes to buy water from me. He says I'm not. And I should not eat to my fill while my neighbor goes to sleep with hunger. When I do all this, God says my place in the hereafter is the pit of hell. He wasn't talking about religion, because the whole issue of religion, of course, is what you leave to God. In any case, you don't preach to people by what you verbalize. You will preach to people on the basis of what you say. Yeah. We go to work, for example. And you find people clock. You see, we have institutions. A number of persons have cried, oh, the dollar exchange for this. You want to blame somebody for the exchange rate of the dollar, and we ask, what is the utilitarian value? It is only in Nigeria you find that 90% of those who work for government are just receiving largesse on charity basis. They don't work. We are not productive. Ask the TUC, ask the whatever, are you productive? Why is NNPC, why are we importing fuel and paying the kind of money you pay to the people who work there? Because we do not want to rock the boat. So until and unless people become honest and they tell the truth, whomever had benefited from Buhari benefited, it was relational. I have known you. Buhari has a weakness, and he has a knack for attracting people to himself who are not even his friends. And so if you go to Buhari and say, we work for you on the basis of religion, you say, oh, I thought you were doing it for God. All of those who have related with Buhari are those who knew him in his military days and those who knew him when he became lonely. Like Baba Chair was one person who would come and sit around Buhari when nobody was coming and helping to take up the bills. And so it probably explains the difficulty he had when you were saying that that man was a thief. Deal with that man. So these are the challenges that we have. So when you cascade it down, go to any governor's office. The picture you find on the wall is the picture of a master. He frowns at you like you will frown at a slave. Go to any European country, when you find the picture of a governor, he carries a smile, saying, my boss is coming in. And so until and unless we change this narrative, we are not going anywhere.
So by simply put, you seem to be disappointed with the present administration of Buhari.
Disappointed? Well, we were contributors. So if I say I'm disappointed, that does not create. I just say, oh, my expectations were not met. Okay. Rather than being disappointed, it's for us to wake up. And I tell people, I said, stop being vituperative. The man has X number of months to go. We should be more concerned about what will come after him. And so we have really never worked. At what department do you find leadership? Is it at the institution where you say this is core, whatever? Go to the educational institution. Go to the educational institution. 99.9% of who come there for management are there on pecuniary whatever. Not for the value. They represent no utilitarian value. And so these basically are the challenge. And so when you look at all of these issues, we have a problem. Okay. So we are in a country today where you have a 9-year-old professor of physics being nominated for Nobel Prize. And it is in the same century, in the same generation we are, the Federal Ministry of Education is criminalizing that no matter how much sapience you have, no matter your cerebral fecundity, if you are not X year, you should not write SSC exam. And so you ask the question, who are those who populate that ministry? And that was what South Korea took care of. The critical mass, what dynamizes is, they say it was education. That was what they dealt with. So if those are the custodians of education in this country, how do we go anywhere? Okay. When a society becomes sick, the antidote is those who have insight, those who have understanding.
Okay. Thank you, Asunogie. Back to you, Neville. You spoke about what should be at the forefront of a nation that wants to grow, and that we seem not to be doing that. Instead, we are putting the otherwise that seem not to help us as a nation. Now, some have said that even the educational infrastructure that seem to be what should be held as a systemic opportunity to build a nation seem crumbling. And then the aspect of the civil service and the judiciary. Can you make mention of that as we look at ways in which we can bring about a respite in this direction of national unity?
Well, from independence to date, there has not been any deliberate effort at uniting the nation. So when people bring up a topic for discussion, national unity, there's no national unity in Nigeria. It's disunity that will be there. People are just pretending that all is well, whereas all is not well.
That's from where you look at it anyway.
Yes, that's where I look at it. If you look at a state like Edo State now, you'll be talking of national unity in Edo State. If you look at it critically, from the time that the remaining part of Bende State was renamed Edo State, and then Delta State was created, will you say there's national unity in quote in Edo State? If you go to Delta State, will you say there's national unity in Delta State? And
that's why we are really happy.
So what is happening in each of the states is what is happening at the federal level. Period. And so if we are talking about recruitment, you talk about education, for example. Recruitment into education is not the basis of merit. It's not the basis of merit, it's on the basis of who you know. You see, for example, they will just establish maybe a state university. Before you know what's happening, they will say they are doing an advert for recruitment to the university. When the university has already taken off, they will do advert just to say that we advertise for appointment. And so you see people working there. How did they get there? And how do you now get a result from that institution? Okay. We are still going to go back to Singapore just now. One of the wonders of the Singaporean state under Lee Kuan Yew senior, because we have the junior there now, is education. You educate the people and make them to have the belief that, irrespective of the ethnic differences, religious differences, and cultural differences, that they are fellow human beings that need to work together for the benefit of the country. Is that what we are preaching here? We are supposed to even learn about history of our country. The other day I was hearing that they said they have expunged history from school curriculum. And I see some governors saying that we need to know about our history, the history of, because today politics is going to be the history of tomorrow, and so on and so forth. Now, if we do not put the square pegs in square holes, how do you get result? We cannot get result. Then you talk about the civil service. It's the same thing. People get job. And the other day somebody was saying that there's a recruitment going on in NNPC. NNPC came up to say that there was nothing like that, blah, 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 blah. And if you get there tomorrow, you see people, new staff in NNPC. Fresh some of them may be children related to governor, related to deputy governor, related to state president, related to former IG of police, related to chief of army staff.
It's not just that they are related, grossly incompetent.
So, and not only that they are related, you discover that the purpose of which they were recruited, they don't even know it, they are not ready to know it, just to get there and be collecting money. How do you not build such a civil service? How do you not build such a public service?
So how do we correct it?
How are we going to correct it? First and foremost, before we talk about correcting it, okay. I see youth everywhere I go to. I see youth. Some of them, they do one funny hair like that. Some they put tattoo on their body. because they are just like grasshopper without direction. Nobody is scared. Some of them, their parents don't care for them. Their local government don't care for them. Their neighborhood, their community where they stay don't care for them. The state don't care for them. The government don't care for them.
So
they are caring for themselves.
Disappointment.
Yes, they are caring for themselves.
The
In that situation, I expect all the states of the country, including the federal government, to establish what they call youth commission, state youth commission, national youth commission, where people will go and be registered. You know the statistics of the youth, and you plan to accommodate them in the program. From there, the youth can organize themselves.
Are there no intervention programs by the president?
I'm not talking of intervention program. I'm talking of a national youth commission.
The intervention program.
Yes, a national youth commission.
Where?
Yeah, a national youth commission will now have the backing of the Act of Parliament. It will be established. They have an office. They have offices across the local government where people can go and register from to to go and register there. They will have a database for you. Then from there, this youth, they will know themselves. They will organize themselves. They will know themselves. They will know who can be a leader among them. From there, we start changing the narrative about leadership at world level, change leadership narrative at local government level, and the youth can organize to say, of all these governorship aspirants, irrespective of the political party, this is the one that we know and we believe can lead us. And if the person cannot lead well, they will commence a process of impeachment to remove such a governor or such a president. But here, we play politics of sentiment, we play politics of the belly, we play politics of rice and beans, of cow, and so on. And at the end of the day, you will discover that people seem to have lost their sense of reasoning because of what they benefit from government. And that is why Nigeria, I always pray anytime I have opportunity of talking to people who are appearing on television program, that I pray for this country, that God should provide the leadership that we need, so that this country will not follow the road of Afghanistan.
Okay,
so that this country will not follow the road of Syria and other countries.
Some have said that the need for us to have the electorate alive to their responsibilities in betting the way forward. Because just like Asunoge did say, well, we shouldn't be dwelling much on what is happening in the present administration, but looking at what is coming next after the administration. But let's look at the need to reposition the electorate. Because we keep seeing political parties wooing the electorate. We have the major political parties as the APC and the PDP, and some say that irrespective of the fact that the presidency being zoned to the north or being zoned to the south, the status quo will still remain if these major political parties seem to still be in the ball of the pendulum swing, even in 2023. What do you make, Solomon?
You know, painfully, we are just in this small circle. Running around the circle again and again. I want to quickly touch some of the issues raised by
David.
Yeah, because when you talked about youth commission, you're taking us back. Is there a state in the Federal Republic of Nigeria that does not have a ministry? Because when you talk about a commission, you're talking about a situation where they need to report to someone.
That falls in the purview of the Ministry of Youth and Sports.
When you talk about a ministry, you're talking about a cabinet member who sits with the governor on every cabinet meeting and discuss the issue. So there is no state in the Federal Republic of Nigeria that does not have a youth ministry. But what are the youth ministries, including the Federal Ministry of Youth? For God's sake, I've been a youth leader in the state and at the national. You understand? Okay. So I understand how it plays.
So it falls in your purview to discuss this.
Unfortunately, they're just there. The monies, yeah, there is no state that does not do what they call budgets arrangement or analysis, or budgeting for youths every year. How do they spend the money? There is no state in the Federal Republic of Nigeria that does not have a National Youth Council. Unfortunately, most of the National Youth Councils at the various states have become an appendage of the state government, rather than being a force, you know, for the youth to advocate for liberations. They become an appendage of government who does everything, you know, for and on behalf of government. Sometimes they are even the mouthpiece of government on the wrong side. So, but point I'm making is that because poverty has become the order of the day, the government has succeeded in bringing out poverty of the mind for the young persons. They no longer, he talked about young persons now having funny hairstyles and drawing tattoo. It shows the character. Can such a person be put at the ends of affairs of any? He cannot. He cannot function. So we have deficits.
But it shows the position in which the present government has placed such persons.
That says that the government...
Because this could be a reaction of what they are facing.
We are saying that government at all levels has failed. Look at the ones they even parade at you. I just mentioned Ben Ayade. Supposedly a youth, but he's a governor. Look at the cost of youths that were produced as supposed leaders who are leaders. You want to talk about the man from Kogi, who is supposedly a youth? We knew what happened during his last election, that ta was the slogan of the elections. Then you look at those today, young boys who are less than 30, that have not even worked all the days of their life, are riding various brand of cars owing to whatever they do that is not legitimate. So he talked about even those who have access to work. It's not on merit. What has government done? Government has failed. Not only failed themselves, but they failed the generations. They succeeded in selling poverty to the minds of both the elderly and the young. And the level of poverty, the kind of poverty is not the poverty of the pocket, the poverty of the mind.
What should the electorate do? Because we are still in the
what should the electorate do? Is it not the electorate that have information, but in mind and in the physical aspect of life that can talk? The youth today are poor. I'm trying to emphasize the issue of intellectual poverty. Talking about poverty of the mind that doesn't see anything bright about tomorrow.
Okay.
If Malam Nuruddin Asunode had the mind poverty, I'm sure he will not be where he is. By God's grace, Malam Nuruddin Asunode and I have served in certain committees, and I can say certain things about him that I know. But today, how about the younger generations that we're talking about that we need to hand over power to? Are they ready? Are they prepared? Why? Because over time, the government of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, because I do not also believe that there is a local government structure. But the government from the top.
From those who want power shift, they have killed local government system.
Because there's none. But those governments, whether I call it federal and state, have succeeded in making the youth poor intellectually. They don't even think about what will be on the table for tomorrow. They're thinking about them now. And as such, they have put crumbs for them, and they're just, running around trying to get the crumbs, not remembering that there's supposed to be food on the table rather than looking after the crumbs. So when you talk about what would the electorate do, we need to be involved. Government should do, not putting it on website, we are doing open government system. They should practice open government system. The electorate should participate in governance. They should know what is happening in governance. They should be a part of governance. You should ask questions, not just questions, but relevant questions. You should be a part and parcel of your society. Of course, like I said, there's no local government system, but in the state system, ask your government what they are doing with your fund, because most of the things they do, and all of the things, in fact, that they do, is the taxpayers' money. They are there for you. Like he said, you go to offices today, when you see a portrait of those frowning at you when you come in, rather than having a portrait of a man who smiles at you welcoming you, you go to judicial circle. What we are supposed to have most often at the judicial area, where you call courts, law courts, and not a portrait of a president or a portrait of a governor, but the coat of arms, because that is where we are all loyal. But today, when you go to places, we are shocked at what you see. Okay, because nastiness have become the order of the day.
We've come to a tipping point where we need to really pick our way to the top. The electorate basically becomes the whole sector of people that the politicians want to woo. We have these political parties where some say, well, they still lack this political ideology, be the APC, be the PDP, and then defecting from one party to another is like putting old wine in a new bottle. Now, what is your appeal, or what do you urge, or what do you see as the position the electorate should take in terms of changing the order of things come 2023?
Well, I think that for those who think that things are not good enough, let them form a critical mass and do a selfless service by providing enlightenment, providing education to the people, to say we are all into this. And once the narratives do not change, all of us will be consumed by the conflagration. Lamentation, like I said, would not do. Yes, there will be poverty. You see, when China said, again, it will bring us to the issue of leadership, but it's for us to identify who can lead. Work with this person for us to get this result. When China said we will lift millions of people out of poverty. They successfully did this by lifting hundreds of millions of people out of poverty.
Okay, but there's a third force that is coming now.
They didn't do that
Yes.
by putting food on the table for everybody. But it was a question of coming and say, Philip, you know you have potentials for this, made you to see what you were not thinking about. And that way the people broke away from the circle of poverty. Once we are able to do this and redirect, for example, yes, you come with a lasers, whatever. Like I tell people, go to any of our institutions of learning today. Those who count are those who are mentally hollow, but they come in lasers or Mercedes GK, whatever. And unfortunately, those who are supposed to take them as mentees revert these persons. But you know, the one who makes a statement is the one who lives with a good grade. It's not the car you came with that does not define you. Okay. And so if we talk more, we have not talked enough. It doesn't matter what our number is. If we talked more, we can be sure that we just pull the whatever, because the house of all of those persons, strong as you think they are, is just like the house built by a spider.
Okay, but all of this, like what is happening presently in the country, some are saying that there should be a coalition of another third force, a third force that could really remove this aspect or lapses that the PDP and the APC has brought in governance. Do you believe in that?
No, when you say third force, we want to know what is the composition of the third force, because I have heard people who say, let us implement the 2004 conference. And I asked, how representative was that conference? A conference where the late human rights activist was a member. Makinde, what was that, his name? Oju Makinde was a member. His wife was a member. The same conference, you mean in Oshun they were the best from the same house? The same conference where Pius told the sitting governor of Plateau State that you are not for us, even when the speakers nominated him, you cannot participate, and you tell me the product. And when you look at the product of all of that, because we're in a state of confusion, the product of all of that, go and read the report people were asking for. We were in a region. If regionalism was the issue, it's when you don't have leadership that they ask for different things. If regionalism was the issue, we would not have been calling for creation of states, for which Midwest state was created out of the Western region. Right. It was because, and remember when we left the Western region, not a pin was given to us by the Western region. Till tomorrow, they didn't give us no pin.
All right, thank you very much.
We have issues. We need leadership.
Thank you very much, Asunoge. Big thanks, Solomon Ijobe. Big thanks, Neville Obakedo, for taking our time to be part of this show. Where this is the much we can take on the discussion. It's the TMI. Stay with me.